The Spanish Inquisition is a series of sketches in Monty Python's Flying Circus, Series 2 Episode 2, first broadcast September 22, 1970, parodying the real-life Spanish Inquisition. This episode is itself entitled The Spanish Inquisition. The sketches are notable for their principal catchphrase, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition." Plot synopsis: this is a recurring sketch always predicated on an unrelated sketch in which one character expresses irritation at being questioned by another, retorting in exasperation, "I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition." At this point, the Inquisition consisting of Cardinal Zyma copyright Nez, and his assistants Cardinal Biggles and Cardinal Fang burst into the room to the sound of a jarring musical sting. Zyma copyright Nez shouts, with a particular and high-pitched emphasis on the first syllable, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition." After entering, the Inquisition trio frequently get bogged down in recitations. In their first appearance, for example, Zyma copyright Nez has trouble with listing their weapons. Zyma copyright Nez states the number of weapons they have, then lists one more than he had counted, before starting over using a higher number. After several attempts, Zyma copyright Nez states that he'll come in again, and herds the Inquisition back off the set. The straight man repeats the cue line, the Inquisition bursts back in, and the introduction is tried anew. This is repeated 2 or 3 times before Zyma copyright Nez relents, skipping the recitation and continuing further into Inquisition activity. Zyma copyright Nez repeatedly runs into the problem of not being able to torture anyone effectively. When he calls for the rack, Cardinal Biggles produces a dish-drying rack. When poking the victim with soft cushions produces no confession, Zyma copyright Nez inquires whether his assistants had got all the stuffing together into one end of the cushions, for supposed maximum effectiveness. Failing that, Zyma copyright Nez forces the victim to sit in the comfy chair, and states that the victim will get only a cup of coffee at 11 o'clock and makes the torture worse by shouting a lot. At the very end of the show, in court charades, the inquisitors are caught by surprise when a defendant in session at the Old Bailey says, "Blimey, I didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition." The whole court rises and looks expectantly at the witness entrance door, obviously expecting the Spanish Inquisition to appear. As the closing credits roll, the inquisitors race to the Old Bailey by double-decker bus, to the tune of Devil's Gallop, only to arrive just as the words "the END" appear. Zyma copyright Nez has just enough time to say, breathlessly, "Nobody expects the spa. Oh, bugger," before the episode ends. In the Monty Python Live stage show, the sketch ends when Zyma copyright Nez orders Biggles to torture the victim by giving her a glass of cold milk from the fridge. When Biggles opens the door, the man in the fridge emerges and begins singing the Galaxy song to the victim, while the Inquisition exit through the fridge. Related sketches: Cardinal Zyma copyright Nez briefly appears 2 episodes later in a vox pop, again displaying difficulty counting. Later in that episode, during the Police Constable Panem sketch, the policeman tells a chemist, "One more peep out of you and I'll do you for heresy," with the chemist responding that he didn't expect the Spanish Inquisition. Except that instead of the Spanish Inquisition arriving, PC Panem simply tells the chemist to shut up. Precursors: the number of weapons joke echoes a similar joke in the first episode, The Man in the Hour, of the BBC sitcom Dad's Army, broadcast in July 1968. Captain Mannering says, "We have one invaluable weapon in our armory, ingenuity and improvisation," to which Private Fraser replies, "That's 2. In popular culture, the popularity of the Monty Python sketch led to numerous references to it in other popular media. The first such instance was in issue number 3 of the comic book titled Batman Family, featuring the joint exploits of Batgirl and Robin, where the story Isle of a Thousand Thrills borrowed the scenario of a land where anything anybody thinks of is quickly brought to life. In response to visitors' anxious questions before the nature of their situation is understood, Batgirl replies, "Calm down, everyone. We haven't had time to wonder about all those questions. I didn't expect some kind of Spanish Inquisition." Immediately 6 inquisitors appear, one of whom cries, "Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Because our chief weapon is surprise." Many other examples have since followed. References. External links, transcript of the sketch,